Hey everyone, so I kind of wanted to have a little bit of discussion about this. It's been kind of a hot topic within the Destiny community lately, and so I, don't know, I just want to go over this week of Bungie, or the TWAB as a lot of people call it. And so there's some really big changes coming to Season of Opulence, and I'm not a fan yet. I don't know how it's going to play out or what's going to happen. I don't know, let's just go through it. So, kind of the normal stuff going on for the TWAB this week. I was talking about like Lord Saladin coming back, Iron Banner being here. There'll be some slight changes to Iron Banner next season, so that'll be interesting to see because that hasn't really been. I haven't been really much changes to Iron Banner since it's really been instituted. I think the only change that they did was maybe locking down all the zones, but even then, that's been a while since that's been a thing. But here's what a lot of people are going to be talking about. The Season of Opulence sandbox changes. So it's coming fast, coming June 4th. The same day as like the new season, everything, along with the raid. And so they're doing a good job by letting us know the changes that are going to be happening and what to expect, which I appreciate. But I don't think the community is very appreciative right now. So, City of Opulence, several notable weapons are going to be adjusted. We want to ensure the encounters, rage, and other endgame content remain a challenge. And so, essentially, they're seeing a lot of these guns are like, I don't know, a lot of these guns are being the dominant thing. Like you see, like Whisper of the Worm, Sleeper Simulant. Like these guns are the ones that are the dominant guns that are going to be used. Like you see any LFG group, and they're like, oh, you have to have this gun. Like, and I see that every time I try an LFG for a raid. And so I don't disagree with the fact that these are definitely very powerful weapons, but you do a lot to get these weapons to make them powerful. So let's kind of go a little bit more into what they're talking about. Some of these weapons have been overwhelming that challenge. So our first choice is the buff underused weapons, but if we can continue to push every weapon up higher and higher, it'll be impossible to maintain challenging experiences, which I get. You don't want the game to be too excessively fast. You don't want these things to be different, and I understand that. So let's go down to Whisper of the Worm. Basically, while exotics are intended to be powerful and novel, bypassing the animal economy can tend to force us to adjust enemies to compensate. So basically, they're trying to make. I guess they're trying to either buff enemies or I don't know what they're trying to how they compensate necessarily. But sniper rifles as a whole being punished because of Whisper's unique ammo ability. So they're saying that all sniper rifles should not be punished because of how Whisper. As a result, we're removing the ammo generation. Yeah. White Nail pulls ammo from reserves rather than creating it. Reserve ammunition increased to 18 without ammo reserve perks. So I would imagine you could probably go up to 20, 21, 22 maybe when you have... let's see, I was able to go up 3 when I had 2 reserve sniper rifle reserves on, so I imagine 21, 22 would be around what most people would be able to get with it. Pulls from reserves. So basically, they made this the Black Spindle in Destiny 1. The Black Hammer came out. It was a really great weapon. It was exactly what the Whisperer Worm was. I believe when Black Spindle was released, it pulled ammo from the reserves. So they're not nerfing the damage that it does, but it's nerfing the ammo capacity and really changing the White Nail perk. And that was really something that was the counterpoint of this weapon. That was the reason this weapon was amazing. And I read a tweet. Destiny Gary had a really good idea and really good topic is saying like doing these things to exotic weapons and doing these things to weapons where you are nerfing the challenge and the chase basically means that exotics are no longer necessary and that their life is short-lived and that they will just soon be shelved and they shouldn't be nerfed. And so what's the point of chasing these exotics if they're going to be nerfed soon anyways? And I've seen that a lot with people talking about the Outbreak Perfected. That gun is a very powerful gun, and it's if you have a team of 6, you're seeing people who are melting raid bosses. Like Callus is just demolished with 6 people are using it, and when the nanites stack with one another. And so a lot of people haven't been chasing this gun because they're afraid of this type of thing happening. And so, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the change because we worked hard to get that gun. Like you have to be a top tier player when it first released, and I was really excited to get it day one. And like I'm not saying I'm a top tier player. I know I kind of just said that, but like you had to know what you were doing. You had to traverse jumping puzzles. You had to fight bosses in a quick amount of time. Like, it was very difficult to do. And then I also getting the catalyst, and like getting the catalyst was very extraordinary. Like, it made this gun so good, and like you felt rewarding because you go into encounters out damaging all these people. Like, you felt rewarded for hitting sniper shots. And even now, like, I don't necessarily feel like a reward of using the white nail perk to pull from reserves, because I'm very stingy with my power ammo anyways, and so it does, because it just doesn't drop. They remove the fact that you have like yellow bars not dropping every power brick when like they used to, and now like even the heavy ammo finder doesn't really work the way that it should. And so it's like, if I was getting more heavy ammo to drop, I would be more okay with this. Like, if it was more of a like regular thing, the heavy ammo would drop in like the area, and like you'd be able to have constant reserves and be able to pull this from your reserves. Like, I get it, but they need to make sure that their ammo capacity, heavy ammo capacity, and the heavy ammo drop rate is definitely fixed, and there are no bugs with it, and that it should be dropping the way it's intended if this is the route that they're going with it. These changes are not happening until Season of Opulence, so we have until June 4th. I don't know. Sleeper Stimulant, reduction of bounce shot range. Sleeper Stimulant is already present on several important enemies. We are now making the reduction part of a weapon. Differences in damage is too large between a single precision shot of Sleeper and an angled shot that pierces the target and then also hits the target again. So basically, they're reducing the ricochet damage and on boss combatants, and then modified precision behavior. So the total damage is unchanged in that aspect, but non-precision shots are significantly more forgiving. So I don't know if that means they're adding more aim assist with that. I'm not exactly sure. Lord of Wolves getting a little bit different. Received a massive increase in damage with the full benefits of the shotgun and changes in Season of the Drifter. I don't know if you saw one of Dado's video where he was talking about how he did Cali, and like almost Lord of Wolves is one of the more popular Cali weapons now. So that's kind of ridiculous, but we got a significant amount of feedback that the release of Wolves activating on every kill made it difficult to control the weapon's ammo consumption. You did kind of burn through it rather quickly. PvE damage reduced by 20%. That's quite a bit. So no longer triggers automatically on a kill. It's effective now triggered by holding reload, similar to the fundamentals in Hard Light and Borealis. Interesting. PvE damage and range bonuses on this effect have been removed and replaced with universal damage bonus instead. So they're reducing PvE damage, but then also reduces the range provided by this gun by giving it additional universal damage bonus. I don't know. Doesn't really counteract, I don't believe. And it's not a gun I really use anyway, so I'm not necessarily as upset, but I don't know. I can't judge all these because of me not using these weapons. Ace of Spades. Yeah, ever since this gun released, I don't know if there's a Crucible match that I don't see. I mean, you can still combat Luna's Howl rather well, especially on PC a little bit more. I see Luna's Howl being used more inside of console, but on PC is definitely used a lot more because Luna isn't as big of a factor as it is in this as it is on console. So now Memento Mori, it ends when you stow the weapon. That makes sense. I'm not upset with that one because that makes sense. Like, I believe like when you have rampage perks or anything like that, those end when you stow weapons, and so I'm not upset with that one. PvP damage Memento Mori is slightly reduced, so you can no longer 2-tap with Vengeance as long as you have above 4 resilience. As if you have below that, I know as a hunter, I don't usually have high resilience on. I think I run it's either 9-3-2 or a 8-3-2. It's somewhere along that way, around that range. And so here is where I'm the least happy. The one thing that I enjoyed about Anthem, as very short-lived as I enjoyed it, is I felt powerful. I had all these abilities. It was very ability-based. I felt extremely powerful. I was finally getting that sense with Destiny 2. Finally getting there, especially with the Revelry, when I was throwing grenade after grenade after grenade, I felt so powerful, and I love that. But they're paying attention to exotic armor that grant back super energy. So we felt that they're like must-pick gear, so they're trying to make it so you change up your choices a little bit. Even then, I don't know what exotics I'm really going to use that would really change my playstyle much, but I don't know. I used them, yes, because of the super regeneration, but I didn't feel like I was tied to that. I use it because I feel like they're the best supers for my playstyle. So Skull, Orpheus, and Phoenix now receive super energy back with diminishing returns, making it rarer to get a full super back. This is the second time the Orpheus rig have been nerfed. I'm not a big fan. I understand the nerf that they had before. Before, if you didn't use them in the original way that they were used, you could tether a group of enemies, and all enemies gave you the same amount of super energy back. So if you tethered like 20 thralls, it would equal the same amount as tethering 20 high-end enemies. Now, if you use your Orpheus rig, if you tethered 20 red bar thralls, it would not equate to the same of 20 yellow bar enemies. 20 yellow bar enemies would guarantee you your super back because high level enemies would be granted more super energy, whereas if you tethered 20 thralls, you'd probably get it back, but it'd be a slower increase. It wouldn't be as immediate. I don't like the fact of diminishing returns. So basically, the more people that you tether, the less that you get back. So like the first one you get like 20% back, and then each one after that it'd probably be 15, like, or maybe 1% less back. And so it's really hard to get a super now. And Stars of Gallon or Orsiferiosis are also having have their gain caps reduced in a parity to other super changes. So I don't know if that means that. I believe they've already been changed, so I don't think these are going to be changed as much, but we'll see about that. Guishin Vest, it needed to be changed in Crucible. Like, I can't deny that. It was excessively strong. I love using Crucible. I feel like it's still good. Like, you can definitely still get your super back, but it'll be nice to not see this ran as long as it does, because I definitely feel like it is an excessive run. The last thing they say is that we're sympathetic about the fact that changes we make to the interest balance in combat and game design can be jarring. It was important that we have this conversation before you read the patch notes. We know many of you have a lot riding on day 1 of Season of Opulence. I mean, the raid's coming out 6 hours after launch, so there's that. Hopefully this intel will assist you in building the perfect monster killing machines in the next season of play. Thoughts. I gave you a lot of thoughts already. The thing that I thought about that I don't necessarily like, I like and I dislike. I like they told us now. They told us now in order to, we can change up how we're going to do things. I won't be able to participate in day 1. I'm not going to have the time to do this. And so, like, it's not going to pertain to me so much, but other people who know what they're going to be running for their team or know how to necessarily do something for that team, like tethering a large area or making a lot of orbs for a group. That is something that I do well. I know that I do a hunter really well, and I'm really happy to be part of that. However, having this change the day of a raid release, I am not a fan of. The reason that I'm not a fan of that is because imagine you're going into a race knowing that you're going to drive an automatic. And as soon as you go into that race, you end up finding out that you're going to be put into a manual like 4 hours later, and you have to learn how to drive 4 hours from now a completely new piece of machinery that you've never driven before. That is something that, that's kind of the analogy that I believe. I've been using something for this long and had this type of idea of how it's going to work. I know how Tether works. I know will give me my super back. I know will give me the least amount back. And so that's kind of how I feel. When I go into a raid or doing something where I'm being changed the day of, I'm going to spend those 4 to 6 hours learning how to use those abilities, learning how to do something that's different when I would guarantee on that. And maybe I am making a little bit of a big deal of it, and maybe it's something where it might not be as big of a change as I feel like once I use it, I might see that it's a lot better used, but I feel like I'm going to use it and maybe get half my super back. Even then, it's more than most, and I can see both sides of it, but right now I'm not necessarily pleased with it. It's not my favorite area of what Destiny doesn't need a nerf. I understand not wanting to build every weapon up to this certain point, because if you're going to put in a high-end exotic and you're trying to make it be like, okay, this needs to be whisper level so people can use it, yeah, I get that. The thing that I wish was different is that they were more positive within this whole ordeal. They have the Trevor shirts, which are great. They have new additions to the store. I think this is Kate's Ghost here. Yeah. It's like, here's all of this bad stuff that we're doing to the game. Here's all the nerfs that we're going to do. Also, buy our stuff. That's kind of like that's the vibe that I got from this. And so I just wish there were more positives. Like, because up here it even says, this is not the full list of changes, but some of the most impactful. So I really wonder what is going to be the thing. Like, what are the other changes that they're going to be making with this? Because I'm really intrigued to see, like, I know these are the most impactful and these are what people are going to be seeing, but, like, this is a new update. Like, this is a big update. This is like a new Fortnite season. Like, things change. Like, nerfs are going to happen. Like, buffs are going to happen. Like, I wish they just added buffs to this patch note list as well. I wish they were able to talk about, like, okay, this is going to be nerfed, but Work with Coil is going to get another 25% bonus. This Shards of Galanor aren't going to be able to use like this anymore, but if you wear, like, running gets you faster with Stompies or something like, or I think Frosties make your thing come back faster. So Shards, you might be able to do this, but if you wear Stompies, you're going to do this, or Frosties is going to build this back faster. I wish it had that in there. It needs that balance, and this is just, I feel like this is going to be called Season of the Nerf. It's Season of Opulence, but no longer is it going to be called that. It's just Season of the Nerf now. So those are kind of my thoughts on it. I'd like to hear what you all believe it should have been done or what could have been done differently. I don't like the fact that they're causing high-end weapons that you have to work really hard to do, like Whisper the Worm or potentially Outbreak Perfected in the future. I don't like that. It just negates the feeling of us having to go into this and then get a nerf. Like, yes, it's helped me with raids now, and I've had like almost a year of using this weapon and like being able to understand like how it works and be able to use it in a lot of encounters and for me to do solo activities. However, a lot of people aren't doing these things because the catalyst or because of these things might be nerfed in the future, and they don't want to just waste their time because of that. So these are my thoughts. Please let me know what the comments are below. And I'd really like to hear like the discussion about this, because it's something that is a big change to the world of Destiny and the sandbox of Destiny. So thank you all so much for watching. And so as always, I will see you all in the next video. Take care.